harm, kill, or cause damage to, and vice versa, to a citizen of the United States, the law of the injured party will prevail. So you feel me? That's in the treaties. You can't, claim your nationality and expect to just get like a get out of jail free pass. I can do whatever the fuck I want to. It doesn't work like that. And then so you have Moors who are deceiving us, who are dressed in fezzes, as Noble Drew Ali said, and many other Moors have said per my research and listening to these Moors, wearing fezzes, totally deceiving, trying to line their pockets on some bullshit, you feel me? And so we have to, as Noble Drew Ali said, study. We have to study on our own to know that shit is bullshit, is deception, is manipulation, you feel me? But I digress. In addition to this contrived identification, the sovereign citizen may carry a legitimate state driver's license. When stopped by an officer or otherwise asked by an official for identification, the person may produce the fictitious driver's license first, but then when back into a corner will pull out a real license. Some sovereign citizens have gotten regular state driver's license issued to them with their Young-Bey name. They also may file a document with the Register of Deeds purporting to change their name to Young-Bey, believing that such a filing is all they need to do. Now this is bogus. You can't claim your national status through the corporation. It is impossible. You can't claim your national status through the corporation. The corporation is never going to approve your national status. So you can't do that. That's not the way to go. Okay, you gotta declare your nationality, proclaim and declare your nationality, and then you can function. But you don't have to go through them to get the name change and all, to not the name change, but the appellation. The what you go by. The appellation change, you don't have to go through the corporation to get the appellation change. My appellation change has already been applied to everything that I do. So it's bogus, but don't worry about it. And once again, they talk about sovereign citizens, which is a oxymoron. It's a misnomer. You cannot be a sovereign and a citizen at the same time. It's impossible. You feel me? Some sovereign citizens will dress in what looks like a law enforcement uniform and will carry a badge identifying themselves as county rangers. This is crazy. Okay? This is crazy. I don't know anything about that. Wearing uniforms and the law enforcement uniforms and carrying badges, that's some weird shit. That's probably some Aryan Nation type shit or whatever. But I don't know. I've never seen that. Buzzwords. They got some buzzwords for us. Below are some unusual words and phrases or manner of punctuation or writing that are commonly used by sovereign citizens reflecting their beliefs. Some of the words are legitimate legal terms in the proper context, but are meaningless in the way they are used by sovereign citizens. For example, the Uniform Commercial Code, UCC, indeed exists and is important law for commercial transactions, but it has none of the purposes ascribed to it by sovereign citizens. It would take a long time to explain why sovereign citizens speak and write the way they do, or the meanings of these particular words. Just be aware that the recurrence of these words of communicating is one indicator that the person is a sovereign citizen. So if you use these words, you are instantly considered a sovereign citizen. So these are red flag words, you feel me, for these people to know that these participants, those who partake, these official members of the corporation. These are red flag words. You feel me? You start talking about this stuff, they're gonna automatically know sovereign citizen. Even on social media, or on your phone, or whatever, they watching, they listening, they gonna know. Okay, here are the words. Straw man, de facto government, conveyance rather than vehicle, references to UCC, IRS Form 1090 OID, traveling in a commercial capacity, aboriginal, who is the victim, copyright after a person's name, employee ID number, EIN, rather than social security number, reference to HJR 192, UN Indigenous People C215, use of near with the zip code, special trust deposit, dishonor in commerce, thumbprints on documents, common law, man on the land, indigenous, non-resident alien, traveling in a private capacity, use of red ink, sui juris, redemption, Young-Bey. This is funny, yo. Where is your oath of office? Brackets under brackets around a zip code. Domicile. Charge back notice. Debtor is transmitting utility. U.S. minor outlying islands. In admiralty. Acceptance for value. Executor. Final solution. Freeman. Is there more? Oh, there's more. Referring to the government as a corporation, affidavit of truth, judicial district of tens, Title 4 flag, UCC 1 statement. Silence is acquiescence, and that's when, if they don't respond in a specific amount of time, then they acquiesce to you being correct. Silence is acquiescence. So I'm a sovereign citizen by explaining this documentation also. I'm not a sovereign citizen, I'm a sovereign. It's a difference. Requesting an official's bond. Yes. Fiduciary. I'm laughing because I've been saying all of this shit. Almost all of this I've been saying. It's funny. So they think I'm a sovereign citizen. And somebody's actually said that to me also, like, you're a sovereign citizen, aren't you? Like, no, hell no. I ain't talking about sovereign citizenship either. That is bogus as hell. Letters of marque, sovereign living soul, UCC 1207, state citizen. This is crazy. A lot of these things you need to know though. You feel me? A lot of them you need to know. You know, because they're accurate. But if you're a citizen of this corporation, a lot of them will be overlooked. Like, you know what I'm saying? If you don't know, there is no such thing as a sovereign citizen. It is impossible to be a sovereign and a citizen. So, it is. But a lot of this, like I said, a lot of these words you need to know because they'll be beneficial to you. You know what I'm saying? To have this information, it'd be hella beneficial to have this information even before, you know what I'm saying? Matter of fact, some of this information might prompt you to go on ahead and declare your nationality, because when you see that this shit is accurate and it's written and it's, let me just continue on with this fucking article. Okay. Filings. Ironically, given their views on the illegitimacy of the government, sovereign citizens are prolific at filing papers with those same government. Of all clerks of courts and registers of deeds are the most frequent victims. Most of the papers sovereign citizens file seek relief from criminal charges and demand money, and many are designed to harass or intimidate public officials. A sampling of the kinds of documents clerks are of court and registers are of deeds might expect from sovereign citizens includes, here we go.
It's just like something warm from the oven that'll fill up your stomach, something like a pastry with big bites you ingested. So now you niggas can taste and see that he is free and that he is me. Yeah, true MC though, masterful creation, and I'm switching up my situation. No more time for being medication. That medicine that they gave me had a nigga going crazy, shit real. So I got back into self-medicating myself.
A list of documents. A notice of copyright as to the person's name, often labeled common law copyright notice, registered warrant, claim for trust, special deposit, filings responding to traffic tickets or other charges, labeling those documents as abandoned paperwork and demanding that the court official respond with authentication of authority, a certified copy of the official's oath, a certified copy of the official's bar bond, and so on. A response to a traffic ticket or other charge labeled as an affidavit of specific negative avertment, opportunity to cure and counterclaim. Negative avertment appears on various documents with the idea that it puts the burden on the official to respond. Notice of international commercial claim within the ab initio administrative remedy. Notice of default and commercial liens and demands for payment. Express specific reservations of rights. Certification of non-response. And invoice for an outrageous sum of money in the millions or billions of dollars. Non-negotiable declaration in the form of trust advocate in commerce. Notice of default for notice and demand for full disclosure. Affidavit of citizenship and domicile. Legal notice, right to travel. Notice of dishonor. Notice of silver surety bond. Asseveration, non-stationary abatement, notice of default judgment, or praecipe. It is common for sovereign citizens to attempt to file their documents on legal-size paper. Sovereign citizens also use a chargeback notice in response to bills. This message intended by the notice is that the bill will be paid by the United States Treasury from the sovereign citizen's drawman account. It is common for documents that sovereign citizens file and send to business, banks, and court officials to say, in effect, that the failure to deny or respond is deemed by the sovereign to be acceptance of their position, which is accurate. Some of the most troublesome activities by sovereigns are their lawsuits and liens against public officials. Court can deal with frivolous lawsuits through Rule 11 sanctions, contempt, and gatekeeper orders. A false lien can be more difficult to address because the official often does not know until much later that it has been filed, and because filing offices generally are not charged with determining the legitimacy of a document before accepting it. To help address that problem, the legislature in 2012 enacted a new statute, G6-14-118.6, making it a Class 1 felony to knowingly present for filing a false lien or encumbrance against the property of a public officer or employee based on that person's performance of official duties. The statute subsequently has been amended to include false claims against any official, spouse, or child as well. The statute also exhibits a procedure for the Register of Deeds to reject such a filing and allows the public official to sue for triple damages under the Unfair and Deceptive Trade Practices law. Now, this is effective. Their kickback is effective for sovereign citizens, but for sovereigns, they have no kickback. And yes, their spouses and their children are as well deemed complicit in their actions of deception and usurpation and various things, human trafficking, kidnap, terrorism, tyranny, all the above, genocides, the list goes on, false imprisonment, you know what I mean? It's inhumane practices, okay? Just put it that way, inhumane practice. This paper may be used for educational purposes without permission for the use for commercial purposes or without acknowledgement to, it is prohibited, I'm sorry. Use for commercial purposes or without acknowledgement is prohibited. Copyright 2012-2013, School of Government, University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. Tar Heels, bro. Michael Jordan went to this school, you feel me? And this is a great school for law. They put out a lot of lawyers from North Carolina. Trust me, I know. I wanted to go to North Carolina at one time. I wanted to be like Mike. At one time, Michael Jordan was the only player in the NBA that I watched. If Mike wasn't playing, I did not watch at one point in time in my life. When Mike left the first time, I started paying attention to a few other players, but I really, and these cats was in, these cats was in high school, in college. So I really wasn't paying attention to a lot of NBA players, with the exception of Anthony Hardaway. When Mike left, I was watching young Anthony get his shit off, I'm not gonna lie. But when Mike came back, I started paying more attention to his competition. And so I started watching more players in the game, but I wanted to be like Mike, which means I wanted to go to University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, because that's where Mike went. And in the process of my research of the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, I found out two things about the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. One, it is a very good legal or law school, and another is a very good medical school, but predominantly law. Almost everybody there is there for law. Facts. Almost. So this document just expressed and broke down a quick guide to sovereign citizens. We understand what sovereign citizens are and what sovereign citizens expect and what they go through. We understand that we Moorish Americans, nationals, are being grouped in with these organizations, corporations, these companies, de facto entities. We are not any of these entities. We are nationals. We are sovereigns. We are indigenous peoples to the land, aboriginals. We have a blood consanguine inheritance. You feel me? It's the equivalent of a noble friend, a noble French lineage, and they can trace it all the way back to, France, King Henry the Fair. I think that's his name. They say they can trace it back to King Henry the Fair. That's their lineage. It's the family line, and all that was King Henry's is theirs, and so on and so forth. So these things are crazy. Our sovereignty is not a citizenship to this corporate quasi-governmental structure. Our sovereignty is to the land. We are nationals. So these guidelines, you can kind of see how they can get us mixed up within them. But in all actuality, there is a grave difference. There's a grave difference. One is a national. The nationalism of it all is not being spoken of. You feel me? When there is a nation-to-nation exchange or governmental-to-governmental exchange, there is an understanding between governments of X, Y, Z, who has what needs to be done in order to constitute you even having authority to say anything to me. You feel me? So Google, I just Googled this. All I typed in was sovereign citizen, and there was, and I scrolled down a couple of times, and it popped up to sovereign citizens quick guide, November 2013 PDF. You can pull this up. You can Google it. You can pull it up. You can download it. You can highlight, write on it, print it out, study it. Study. There's some things in here, like some of the commonly used phrases, or some of the commonly said things that are filed for in court that will be beneficial for your knowledge. Get the UCC, get the USC, look up these codes and see what they are pertaining and how they pertain to you, and then apply them. You feel me? Declare your nationality wars. If you enjoyed this video and would like to see more like it, subscribe to my channel. Let me get a like down here so YouTube will know what's going on. And hit that notification bell also. And I mean, leave a comment too. Alright?
Life completely fucked. New York Stock Exchange, instantly your numbers drop. Souls that remain, depression is great. They go berserk, expecting it to stay the same, knowing that it'll never work. It's the battle of the gods when you win your world at odds.